Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing 1853. So we go into the first operating round, and I didn't say actually when the game ends. The game ends if the bank breaks, which will be 15,000, that's what's in the bank, or if any of these share values reach the highest space, then the game, I think it ends immediately at that point. Yeah. During the operating round, companies will always operate from left to right or in ascending numerical order, no matter what their share value is. And it's well, the base rules remain the same. Companies may first lay track. Major companies may lay 2 track tiles. However, they can do that without a restriction as soon as the first 3 train starts. If they start a company at that point or from that point on, then this company can lay 2 tiles without any restrictions. I mean, there's no penalty for that, let's say it that way. Of course they have to follow some rules. If a company starts before this phase 3, which is now the case for all these companies, then the president of the company has to make a decision if he wants to be allowed to place 2 tiles already, or if he wants to wait until phase 3 to place the 2 tiles. If he decides to place them now, then every time for the rest of the game when he wants to place 2 tiles, he will have to pay $20. For the first company, these guys, it's actually going to be $50. So whenever they want to lay 2 tiles, if they decide that they want to start now doing it, they're going to have to pay $50 for the rest of the game. Or they wait until the first 3 train is purchased, and then they can do it for free for the rest of the game. Minor companies may never lay 2 tiles. Later in the game, instead of laying any tiles, companies are also allowed to upgrade 1 tile. If you lay 2 tiles, you have to be able to trace a route to one of your stations. That is pretty standard. However, each tile must trace a route to a different station, and you're not allowed to use the same piece of track twice. So that is a massive restriction then. You may place tiles outside your operation area, that is allowed. But upgrading tiles is a different thing. You're not allowed to upgrade tiles outside your operation area unless you have a 5 or 6 train, and then only if you are able to reach the new placed, the new upgraded track with a 5 or 6 train from one of your home stations. So these are pretty specific rules and also a little complicated. I mean, it's not exactly complicated, but there are a lot of these rules here which show a lack of elegance compared to 1830, for example. You know, a lot of things like, yeah, you can do that and you can't, but you can do it if at that specific point, but then only under specific regulations and so on. Yeah, but okay. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just a little hard to digest. So, it's company number 1. And the president wants, I'm pretty sure the president wants to make money as quick as possible, as fast as possible. So his decision is to and I'm not sure, do we want to place 2 tiles? I mean, 1, 2. The thing is, if we don't place 2 tiles, if we only place 1 tile, we could not make a connection, for example, between Calcutta and Patna in the second operating round, which would be our first train run. We could only make a connection, for example, between Patna and Benares, which already gives us clearly less income. And then it would take a little longer. It would take basically 2 tile lays from there, or 2 operating rounds, to make a connection to Calcutta. I think that sucks. So I think I want to say, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to lay 2 tiles in the first from right away, pay the $50. There are $1,000 in the company. That's not bad. The trains are very expensive in this game. They are really extremely expensive. So, I mean, the cheapest train is $300, which is ridiculous. But still, I want to do it. I don't have to be too afraid of ruining the company, because you can always sell the presidency into the bank pool, right? Of course, there's still a problem with that, and I've seen that in my last game of 1860. I was too greedy there, and I was constantly paying out, knowing, okay, whatever happens, I can always sell the presidency and I never have to buy a train, and basically it doesn't matter how much money is in the treasury. But then you come to a point later in the game, I think you can do that with the first company you control. But then later in the game, there are only 8 companies available. And that means if you ruined your second company, there might be no good shares left out there. You know, every other players who played a little more conservative has probably less money than you at that point, but he has companies, or he has shares of healthy companies. While you might have clearly more money than the other guys, but there are no more shares available, and there's simply nothing to do with your money. And that's exactly what happened to me. I ruined 2 companies, made a lot of money, but sadly the game went on. You know, I mean, if the game was over at that point, it would have been great, but it doesn't work that way. And I realized, fuck, there is basically nothing to buy out there. So it's not that I had to pay the trains after they rusted from my own money. That is like in this game. But the problem is I couldn't even do it. Here, by the way, you have the option to do it, and we get to this later. But anyway, I want to do it. I want to run this company hard. Try to make as much money as quick as possible. So we're going to spend the $50, I guess. So let's find 2 tiles. What's kind of interesting, there are no straights for the cities. No straight tiles for the cities in this game. So we're going to grab this one, which is supposed to be yellow, and we place this in Patna, like this. And we have a terrain cost here. And oops, no, we're not going to take that one. We don't want to do this gauge, but we want to do the standard gauge, the black one. Because I want to run a standard train that gives me more money. And yeah, because I simply cannot buy a meter train. That's an important factor at that point. I cannot buy a meter train, so because there are none available. You can see here there are the two trains. The first meter train, the 2M, comes into play only when the first 3 train is purchased. That would have been different if minor companies would have been started. Then we would have also these 1M trains in play, but that's not the case here. Okay, so we place one track here, the other one goes out there. So we're gonna need something like this, I guess. There's a station there or a town. So we can do it like this and then make a connection here. I mean, I kind of wonder, well, but if we buy, let's see, I mean, we can run, could we run 3 trains? Do we want to? If we run 1, 2, no, but we can run 2 trains in the next turn then. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I could go this way here and also take this dot here, which would give me a 10 additional bucks. And the thing is that 10 additional bucks early in the game is a lot of money. So let's say I go like this. I could then make a sharp hook like this, you know, and I could do it, for example, like that, and then make a connection like this. I mean, that means that basically that means that I make a little less money now, but I think in the end it will be worth it. So yeah, I'm gonna place my tiles like this actually. That means that I gotta pay, let's see, let's say this is a river tile, or is it 2 rivers? Ah, yeah. I can see here there are more rivers in one tile, so that costs actually a little more money then. And now we check the terrain cost, and you can see here standard gauge and meter gauge. 2 rivers is 60 bucks, so that's what we have to pay, 60 bucks. And because we laid 2 tracks, 2 tiles, we gotta pay 110 bucks. So you can see this is getting expensive right away. Okay. In addition to that, we want to buy trains. And actually I want to buy 2 of these. So I'm going to buy 2 trains. It's a lot of money, but we also want to make money, so that's 600 bucks for these trains. So the company didn't run any trains, and but in this game, if you don't pay a dividend, the share value does not necessarily drop down as long as there are no shares in the bank pool. If there are shares in the bank pool, the share value drops 1 space. So at that point, yeah, no loss here. By the way, in this game, there is no forced train purchase. Never ever. Companies do not have to buy trains. And if a company does not have enough money to buy a train, the president is always allowed to pay the difference. And that also is the case if there are already trains in the company. So it's not just this emergency financing thing. If there is a train in a company, but the company wants to buy another train and does not have enough money, the president simply can basically buy the company a train. That is okay, but the company has to use all its money before the president helps out. So that is a very, very unique idea here. Now, these guys, no, actually, this company comes first. What do they want to do? Well, they're in a weird position here. The thing is, if I want to simply go up here, try to make the connection, I would get my money back pretty soon. But do I really want that? I mean, I want my money back. But on the other hand, there is not a lot of money to gain in this area. So I thought about a kind of a long-term strategy. What if I use these guys, make a hook here, and basically try to make as much money as possible and go into this direction of the board? And with the other guys, I thought actually about laying a meter track, going here to the north like this, making the connection here, because that allows me then to get my bond back at some time if I somehow manage to connect these guys too, which should be possible. And then I thought about maybe going here, something like that, going through here, or taking all these dots, you know. This is all heavy terrain, but with a meter gauge, it's not that terribly expensive. And some of these show a very small number up here, like the 100, and here the 40, and another 100 here. And that basically means if you reach these guys, if you connect those cities, the company will get that money as a bonus because it's so hard to get there. And that could be interesting for him. So I'm seriously considering doing that. Problem is, of course, if I place a meter gauge there, I will not be able to run the train there, simply because simply because you cannot buy meter trains, or there are no meter trains available right now. So maybe I should place a standard gauge up to here for now, so that I can run a train, and I can also easily make a connection between these two. And then I still might upgrade this to a double gauge and then change gauges. I'm not absolutely sure about that. Okay, so I just checked this. The idea is basically I want to go out as a standard gauge like this, then turn around here and then go into this richer area. Okay? And with the other guys, I want to go on a meter gauge here and then go around here. But that means sooner or later, if I want to make a connection here, I gotta upgrade this in a way that I can go there. And from what I see, well, I could also use maybe that thing to something like this. Yeah, that should also work. Fine, so that means, let me see. Well, still, it doesn't really help a lot. I mean, I could, if I want to avoid these hills up there, it actually seems I got to use this thing here, because there is, as I said, no straight. So let's use that thing, because then later I can kind of upgrade this into a double gauge, which would be something like this, or this. And then I can go down here and make a connection into this here. And then there is a connection between the two cities and I will get my bond. This is a fairly complicated solution, right? I mean, I could also simply place a standard gauge here, make a connection, and then pretty soon I would have my money back. But the problem is that I'm then kind of stuck here because I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, I thought about this, and it's really not that easy to change gauge there, because you can only change gauge in a city, in an upgraded city. You need this kind of double gauge city where you have a token. And my idea is to do this right here in this city, right? If I want to do it up here, for example, say I want to make this quick connection so that I get my money back, I have to go there with a standard gauge, which will cost the company more money because of the mountains up there. And in addition, if I want to then make a gauge change there, I gotta waste basically a token. And up there, I think it's not terribly useful to have a token. However, of course, I could also upgrade this into a double gauge then, and then make my way out here like this with a meter gauge. Maybe that is even a better idea. In this way, but then I'm gonna have to buy two trains to make this really work. And these two trains again cannot run, oh boy, on a, but it might be worth it. It's a tough call, man. There's not that much money. Well, there is quite a bit of money here. So the two trains, and then let me see how much would be one of these cheap gauge 250. There would be enough money in there, but a fourth train is then nearly impossible. I'm going to roll a die here. Is this guy going for the quick money or playing more conservative? In general, he's a more conservative player. You know, I got these kind of random personality thing. So on a 6, he's going to play this quick. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, that means he will actually place a standard train here instead, which is a little bit of a shame. I would have liked to see. And in this case, yeah. I mean, we could actually use this and then upgraded it to a Still, I want to follow this path here, and then later we can do upgrades between these, make a connection here, and work our way around down here. Okay, cool. So finally we're done with these. We got to pay for that. Track lay, $20. And then I also want to buy 2 trains, which is really a lot of money, but still $600. Because I'm also interested in getting this M train out. This is one of my plans here. So let's grab 2 of these. So these guys are in a similar situation. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of these dots, and it would be tempting to use a meter train here, but on the other hand, there are none available. So my idea is pretty clear here. I want to make a connection here north, then to Allahabad, and maybe to this network here with a standard train. And maybe later we can come up with a connection, for example, to Delhi or with some kind of meter train. And these guys will also try to, what are they gonna do? That's already kind of questionable. I mean, they could try to go here, or they could also try to go here to Allahabad, but well, I guess we'll see. Okay, so I laid this tile here, that tile here, paid my $20, and then I purchased 2 trains, also two trains. So that means all the 2 trains are gone now, and the next purchase will unlock also the first M train. However, this thing is $440. So I think it's safe to say that of these companies, in the near future, nobody will buy them, and they're definitely not interested to speed up the train rush because, well, they have their 2 trains. I mean, this guy might be, because he's really speculating on this, but he cannot afford it anyway. But okay, there will be new companies coming out sometime, and then but it will take a while, I guess. There are still a lot of shares in here. So for now, it seems like we're kind of stuck with what we have. Okay, now we come to the option that the player who has the elephant, he can now, after this operating round is over, he can now decide if he wants to play another operating round. That is this one here. So after each cycle of operating rounds, the player who has priority can make that decision. And he thinks that this is actually a good idea because it will allow this company to make money, and I think at the moment this is the company who actually will make the most money. So I'm not totally sure about that. But I think they might be interested in doing it. Yeah, I guess I will. So that means we're going to lay additional track, and this time we're going to go here around the corner like this. There's a river down here. And I think actually I want to go like this. I might not be able to make, although I don't think there's a big difference. Yeah, I think I want to go down here. Make my second tile placement. And there we go. There's also a river here. So that means again we have to pay quite a bit of money. So it's $60 per river. This is 120. So we gotta pay $170. This is totally crazy for placing 2 tiles plus the terrain cost. This is insane. It really is. It's absolutely absurd. We're not allowed to place a station because there is no free place. We can now finally run our first trains. And we got 2 trains. And as I already said, the dots do not count, but in this case it doesn't matter because, well, I mean, here we can do a 30 run from here to here, and here we can do 50, 60, 70. So that means we have 100, and we will pay out, so it's 10 per share. In addition to that, in this game there is a mail run. Every operating round there's a mail run, and that mail run is a run where the revenue of one train, of the starting location and the the final location of that train are added, and that money then goes into the company's treasury. That is in addition to your standard revenue, but it doesn't count as revenue, okay? So basically that means that this company will get $60, 50 plus 10 for the mail run into the treasury. There we go. Okay, and we said $100 revenue, so 10 per share. If there would be shares in the bank pool of the company, that money would be lost. So the money for shares in the bank pool does not go into the treasury like in 1830. Then the share value goes up 1 space because the company paid out. If the revenue would be twice the market value or higher, it would have gone up 2 spaces. If it would be 3 times the market value, it would have gone up 3 spaces, and that is actually possible up to, if it would be 5 times the market value, then the share value would rise 5 spaces, but this is then the maximum. But there is clearly a higher dynamic here when it comes to this, so swallowing might not be such an issue in this game compared to other games, because it is easier to jump 2 spaces, for example, especially if you are in the lower area. Okay, I actually made a mistake there already. I planned to go like this. I kind of fucked that up, so I'm gonna exchange that because I wanted to go here. That was my plan, and from there I'm now gonna place another token, go down here. Okay, there we are. And this guy plays a token, a tile here in the mountains, but I don't know if you can see that. There's this, gosh, let's see if we can get closer to this. There we are. There is a 40 here, and that allows you then to take 40 into the treasury, kind of as a bonus that you managed to add this border town to the network. But first you got to pay the terrain cost. So we have a mountain. Holy crap, man, this is fucking expensive. That's 150, and we have a hill, so that means we're talking 220 here. That's a lot of money already. And then it's $40 for the company as a reward. And in addition, we got to pay 20 for laying 2 tiles. Boy, oh boy, this is really, the money goes away in this game. This is really crazy. But okay, at least we will also make money. I mean, for example, this mail run here is worth $50. That's not bad at all. So overall we make 60, we also make $100, Up here 40, here 60. That's not too bad. Yeah, and $50 for the company. Cool. So yeah, that means 10 per share. So the green company laid track here. Also had to cross the mountains here. And then here, and that is a problem. I mean, they are kind of stuck here. They could try to, the other option would be try to somehow go through here, but that, I think that doesn't really help. So their plan is for now basically just to wait and to hope they find the option to somehow cut in here. If this city gets upgraded, they might be able to go in here. And it's also in the interest of Red to do that, because that would give them a second way to Calcutta. So there is no real danger that they might get cut off there. But of course, this is kind of a dead end for now, and these, this will not generate more income. So they are definitely more income than these $60, which is not bad, but they are definitely waiting for the 3 train to come out. And because they need green tiles. But there are a lot of shares left in here, so this might take a few operating rounds till we see that happening. The company is going to run 2 trains, so these are $30 and an additional 60. So they make only 90, while the others made both 100. So they are already falling a little behind, and it's not exactly looking like they are in the most promising situation. Maybe that was a very stupid idea to go up here. Maybe they should have tried to hook up somehow here, or even go south, but they wanted to be part of this network. Hard to tell. So for now, that means 9 per share, and the company will get $60 for the mail run, and that of course is pretty good. So it's the end of the operating round. We come to a new stock round, and yeah, I think it makes already sense to change and to improve the portfolio here. I think I might seriously consider selling this and buy instead another one of those. I mean, there are only 2 left, so that is an option which might not come again. So I guess I'm going to do that. So they go in the bank pool. They are now worth 92 instead of the 88, so they made us a little bit of money. And that means we got to pay $8 to get an additional share of those. Is that enough to... Yeah, we have actually enough money to buy a share of those, I think, which is good. But of course we can only buy a single share per turn. This guy is going to do exactly the same. This goes in here. He buys that one. I think for the moment these guys played more or less everything exactly the same way. And that means he's got to pay $8. Okay, and now it's him, and well, I mean, theoretically he might consider doing a similar thing. He might also sell one of his shares and invest instead into the Northwestern Railway, which seems to make more money for the moment for So, and I think I want to do that. So yeah, let's get rid of one of those. 88. Invest another $4 and buy a share of the Northwestern. This guy, well, he's feeling okay. So, does he have the money? That's 50, 60, 70. He doesn't have the money to buy a share. So he will simply hold on to the ones he has. He's going to be the first guy who passes. Now it's him again, and he can now buy another share of the Northwestern. That is 80, 90, 92. There we go. Okay. And guess what? This guy is going to do exactly the same. 80, 90, 92. It's going to be interesting when the paths of these two guys finally will divide. I have no idea, but it is clearly the best thing to do at the moment. If you have a share, if there's a share out there that makes more money, you sell the other ones and get that one. Especially if I mean, it's not like that this share will make is super promising. I mean, at some point it will make money, there is no doubt, when they manage to hook up on. So this will be a good share. But you don't want to lose a lot of money at that point of the game, I think. Which is an interesting question. Does he want to sell the presidency? Yeah, that's an interesting choice, isn't it? So actually I thought about selling these shares and basically buying those. Problem is, if I do that, I will give this player a lot of power. The reason is, if a company is without a president, then it gets run by a manager. And the manager is determined in the following way. If there are more players with a single share, then the former president, if he is one of those players, will be the manager of the company. If the former president does not have any shares left, then the player who holds the share for the longer time of the other players becomes the new manager. And if nobody else has shares, and that would be the case here, then the player with the elephant becomes the manager. So then it also can change every operating round, the manager. But for now, he would be the one. And if he would be the manager, he could actually buy these two trains for his company. And yeah, then this company would be without a train, but this company would have 4 trains, which is obviously a super powerful position. And I don't want to give him that position, even though it might be to a slight disadvantage for me, or I might have an advantage if I buy these 2 shares. I might get more money. And if he has more power, I would even have more money. But still, you know, I don't know. I mean, I would have only 3 shares of that company while he was holding basically 5. It's an interesting question. Is it worth say, okay, guy, I allow you to do that, and at least I have 3 shares. These 2 guys have only a single share of the company, but then basically you have a 5-share company, and we can make a lot of money. But he will clearly make more money, right? It's a tough call. It really is. I mean, for the moment, I don't know. These shares are not worth a lot. Problem is, on the other hand, this guy cannot run 4 trains anyway. So for now, at least for 3 more operating rounds, this would not help him a lot. So, but then he has these 4 trains and makes a ton of money. That is really, again, a very interesting decision here. The problem is, of course, he can use the trains for other companies too. So he could, for example, as soon as then other Trump companies will show up, he can sell some of his 4 trains to one of his other companies, and then he's in a very, very good position. And I don't gain any advantage of this at all. So I think for now, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give him these 2 trains. And I got to hold on to these 2 shares, although they don't pay out that much as others do. And I mean, for now, it's not that terrible. I'm just losing, it's just $10 per share. But that will change. I'm pretty sure about that. On the other hand, maybe I can make a connection here, and then I can possibly hook up to the network at least a little bit. We'll see about these things. So here's another question for this guy. He could sell one of these shares, which make good money, but instead buy 2 of these. Because then, right now, he cannot afford that additional share. He simply doesn't have quite the money. He's sitting here at $80, and that share sits at 88. So he cannot do it. But if he sells that, he would get 96, and then he can afford basically 2 shares instead of only 1. And I think it's worth it. Although this company is slightly better at the moment, but in general, I think yeah, it's worth it. He's also kind of interested in getting the 3 trains out. I already said that because I want to buy this 2M train at some point, and with this company. So it is in my interest to get the shares out of the initial offer. So yeah, I think I'm gonna buy. So I'm gonna sell this guy here for $92 and buy one of those, or not for 92, it's 96 by now. And remember, the share value doesn't drop if I do that. I'm gonna buy that, and I'm gonna get $8 back. Yeah, great. And that allows me then to buy exactly another share. Then I'm at 0, but I think that's okay. Okay, this guy gets now priority. And I'm now the player with the most shares, if I'm not mistaken. These are 4, 5, 6, 5, 5, 5. Yeah, I hold 6 shares. Not the best, maybe, but still, I think at that point, there's not that much difference in the revenue. So holding an additional share will give me about 10 additional bucks per operating round compared to the other players. So that is not bad for now. And then we go to the next operating round. So the EIR, East Indian Railroad, they made the connection here now, and then they placed a dot here. So again, they had to pay twice terrain cost and the 50 bucks. So overall, there was 150 bucks that they had to pay only for the track lay here. But they want to go like this and want to take these dots here. I think that's worth it. Okay, and then they will probably now have a pretty good run. So let's see, we got our two trains. That's 50, 60, 70, 90, 110, 120, and 130. That's not bad. And yeah, it's 13 per share, and overall the company gets 70 for the mail run. So at the end of the operating round, company 1 made the most money with 13 per share. The black company continued here on their way down there. They made 11 per share. Yeah, and the green company is not in a great position. They continued here because this guy decided to take these dots. They're kind of cut off, which means only 9 per share for the green company. And yeah, we'll see. Because this guy, these two guys momentarily make the most money. He says, yeah, I want another operating round. And basically, yeah, let's see what happens. So we're at the end of the operating rounds, and I started to use this pawn here that comes from another game to mark which company has operated and paid a revenue, because otherwise it's really hard for me to remember that. If you cannot flip the tokens like in other games, it kind of sucks. But in this way, I can keep track of that. Okay, so we've seen basically, yeah, the red company now already in the last turn they had a connection here. They now placed a token here going into this direction here. The black company is improving this network, going here, then planning to go down here, and then they might be even able, if they place a token here, then they might be able to go twice to Delhi with 2 trains. That could be pretty awesome, and they don't have to do this strange run up here. And the other company finally managed to connect a second city here. So these guys are now placing a tile here. They will be able to hook up with the network here, and then they will be doing better. And I mean, already these 20 bucks here helped them quite a bit. So yeah, I want to load this up here, and I guess, I don't know how much money is there. These are the richest players. They have about 150. These guys, well, they also have 150. They're both, there's not a big difference between the players, just a few bucks, I guess. So that means I'm pretty sure, I mean, these shares will go away definitely for 100 each. I don't know if all shares will be purchased, but we'll see. Maybe we see a new company starting next turn, but I don't really know that. So yeah, these guys might not be too eager about that. They are making the most money. So they don't want to push the trains or something. They are just making money, and it's fine for them. This guy wants to get the M train out, and this guy definitely also wants to shake up things a little bit. Okay, so hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.